So, are you ready to take a leap of faith? How many of you are ready to take a leap of faith in some area of your life? All right. That's right.
Yay.
Oh, I love it. It's a wild card. We get to make it. It's called Unbound and Extraordinary. So we'll be talking about a leap of faith today. And there is one man who took a leap of faith. We don't know his name, but Jesus was involved in this leap of faith. The 5th chapter of the Gospel of John describes a healing pool. It's in Jerusalem. If you can imagine these beautiful columns around this healing pool where people go to receive a special healing. And Jesus went to this special area after the Feast of the Jews, where there were many sick people. They were waiting for the water to be stirred about in just the right way. And then they would attempt to get in the water and needed to be the first one in to receive a healing. And so there was a paralyzed man lying close to the edge of the water. And Jesus saw him lying there and he said to him, "Do you want to be made well? Do you want to be healed?" And the man answered him and said, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the water when the water is stirred up. And when I am attempting to get in, someone always gets in before me." So he had a very limited idea of the possibility of him receiving a healing. Well, Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your pallet and walk." And immediately the man was made well. He took up his pallet and he walked. 38 years. It said he was waiting for 38 years for healing. Can you imagine waiting that long? Or maybe there is an area of your life where you've been waiting a long time, maybe even 38 years for healing. Or where you feel so frustrated it feels like it's been that long. You feel stuck. Or you feel like you're struggling in an area or two of your life. Anyone have that experience? Okay. So what happened in this story to help bring about healing? That's what we really want to know. Hey, how can that happen to me? We're not sure exactly what happened to this man, but the story was written, obviously, to illustrate a divine healing. And in unity, we see Jesus as our elder brother, our way shower. We know that he was in alignment with God and with spiritual truth. He was in alignment with the principles of the universe. So he spoke to this man with authority. Rise, take up your pallet and walk, be well. And we have that part of us that speaks to us with authority as well. And when we listen to that voice, we pick up our mats and walk. This is the voice of the higher self, the Christ nature. And it is what inspires us to take a leap of faith. Perhaps you can recall a time in your life where you did make a big change. And you did hear that still small voice, or perhaps you felt it in your gut. It's time. It's time to make a change. Actually, there is an innate human need to be connected with something larger than us. So change is inevitable. We're always growing, always expressing more of who we are as children of God. This urge is God, and it propels us forward to help us express who we are as children of God. And so as we allow Spirit to heal our hearts and mind, to expand our mind of what is possible, we are better able to discern that still small voice of God within. It becomes easier for us to tune into our inner wisdom when we relax in the now moment. The man who experienced a healing had to have been listening. He had to have been ready. And for 38 years, perhaps he wasn't ready. So we need to cultivate that in our life that will help to prepare us for what is next. We can do that by being in the now moment, by setting aside time in our lives to listen. Perhaps for you it's journaling or spending time in nature, just being quiet. I was noticing my mind chatter on the way over here. It's like, shut up, Diana. This was just my inner mind, and I love the message in the Daily Word today. Today I choose to be free of that inner voice that has always got something to say. Often it's about someone else, not any of you. But that inner voice is always going. Some refer to it as the inner roommate. Always having an opinion So we take in a deep breath and surrender to this sacred moment. Because usually that chatter is about something from the past or something in the future. So we allow ourselves to just surrender. And that voice seems to dissipate because it doesn't thrive in the now moment. And so in the now moment, we can notice what's going on. We can see the deer off playing in the hills, or the beautiful snow that may be falling. Or just be present with what is, how crisp and cold it is today. Be present with that. And we can also allow our higher self to absorb and hold any pain we may be experiencing in life. When we rest in the now moment, any painful memories or doubts or fears naturally come up, and it's almost as if they are burned up by the energy of God. And that is what heals us. But so many times in our life, we get off thinking about this or worrying about that, making a mental to-do list, and are unable to just be in that moment, that now moment, which is where true healing occurs. As we allow any fears or doubts of our wounded self to come up and be healed, we set ourselves free. We allow God to free us, and we pick up our mat and we walk, and we then can live lives that are unbound and extraordinary. Living from our higher nature, we are more in the flow of God's good. That's where we get those insights. That's where we hear the wisdom, and we get a spark of inspiration, perhaps from a song. When we are present, we tune into God's divine ideas. And so now I'll share a more modern story that explains my talk title. My first spiritual mentor, her name is Judy, left state government to follow her bliss and to follow her spiritual calling. She did so after working 23 years in the state government, and so a lot of people called her crazy, because after 30 years, she would receive full benefits. However, her spirit, her soul, would not allow her to go to work there any longer. It was time for her to move on, to do what was next, for her to be free, to soar, to follow that calling. And so she didn't like being called crazy, so eventually she looked it up in the dictionary, because people kept calling her crazy with a funny look on their face. They were probably threatened by her making such a big change in her life. So she looked up in the dictionary, and she didn't like what she saw. And then she kept looking down at the definitions. On the fourth definition down, she found one. Definition of crazy. The fourth one down, unbound and extraordinary. So when people would say to her, "You're crazy," she would say, "You're right. I am. I'm unbound and extraordinary." And when we recognize that it is Spirit that is calling us higher, sometimes pushing us forward, we realize and recognize and embody the truth that we are one with God, we are one with that inner wisdom, and we are able to live lives that are unbound and extraordinary. There's probably an area of your life where you've already made a leap of faith, and you may be also called right now to take another one, to pick up your mat and walk. Challenges that once held us down can no longer block our good. In fact, we are continually in a process of becoming more of who we are. We are continually living lives that are more expansive, that are more inclusive, that are more loving, that are more wise. It's just what we do. We are becoming our higher selves. We are called higher and higher and higher. You've probably heard the phrase, heaven on earth, creating heaven on earth. And the word heaven means expansive. So we are creating heaven on earth right here and right now. We are living expansive lives when we allow ourselves to, when we listen, and when we rest in the now moment. For some years, I allowed depression and low self-esteem to hold me back. But using affirmations and meditations and knowing the truth of who I am and finally learning to rest in the now moments, I was able to overcome that. And we are overcomers. Jesus was an overcomer, and we are overcomers. And through these teachings, I've been able to allow God to heal my heart so that I can be empowered to live a full life. And now my dream, my goal, is to live a full life in every aspect of who I am. To tell you the truth, my goal maybe 10 or 15 years ago was to get by in this area, to get through. And I would have a goal to really excel at this one thing. And now I want it all. And I want it all for you as well and for your church community. What if we lived expansive lives, free lives in every aspect of who we are, in every area of our life, where we do feel free, where we listen to that calling, where we move forward, we push through the barriers. And yes, we may feel some discomfort, and it's so exhilarating on the other side. It is so exhilarating on the other side. I can recall when I gave my notice, ready to move on to Unity Worldwide Ministries, which I felt led to do. I felt the fear. I felt it. I felt it in my gut. Felt it a little bit in my heart and in my throat. I wouldn't be working with my friends 40 hours a week. I would make new friends, and I already did have some over at Unity Worldwide Ministries. But it was a shift. Your job change or a relationship change are some of the biggest changes that you'll go through in life. And yet, even though I felt that fear and that discomfort, it was exhilarating. It's exhilarating to be able to make a change that it's time for, to be empowered, to speak those words or write that letter, to make that change. And I moved into a situation where I have a lot more time and energy to be able to travel and speak and give workshops. So I broke through a barrier, even though it served me well. And I felt like I was being a blessing, and I was blessed. It was time. And in the months leading up to that, I remember other people leaving. And I thought, how do they do that? How are they doing that? What is it that's propelling them forward? And when is it going to be my turn? When is it going to be my turn? So we can all probably recall people who have gone before us, who have broken through barriers, have moved through challenges, who have helped to set the stage for us to do what is ours to do in every arena of life, whether it is in career or relationship, prosperity, many different arenas of life. There have been those who have gone before us. And the story of Roger Bannister exemplifies this. Any of you remember who Roger Bannister is or been exposed to that? Okay, well this is good. This is going to be a good one. It's a story from the 1950s. It was before my time, just to let you know. But no one thought it was possible to run the mile in under 4 minutes. It couldn't be done. It was impossible. But in 1950, someone did, and that was Roger Bannister. He'd been training with other men doing the same things. In fact, some of their results were the same at that time. But in under 4 minutes, he completed a mile. How did he do it? Because he believed it was possible. He believed it was possible. Just believed. Just believed. So it is belief as opposed to physical ability that is the primary obstacle to achievement, or that which propels us forward, and is supported by the idea that many runners were able to break the 4-minute barrier so quickly after he did. So once he did it, then they believed it was possible. They too could run the mile in under 4 minutes. And so many of them did. They were all trained at the same level of performance. So this story demonstrates the power of belief that can transform our mind. Where the mind goes, the energy flows. That's Ernest Holmes of the Church of Religious Science. Thoughts and mind produce after their kind. That's Charles Fillmore with the Unity Movement. So what we focus on and what we dwell upon, what we believe is possible, opens up for us. So what does that mean for you and your dreams and your goals and your intentions? Maybe there's one goal in your life that you would like to achieve, that with this support, this energy, you can move forward. Perhaps it's for your church community, something that you would like to experience or co-create together. So this teaching, this principle which Roger Bannister has exemplified, reminds me to live a life that is unbound and extraordinary. It reminds me to go back and look at my goals and dreams and see, could they be more expansive? Can I create heaven on earth? What is mine to do to bring that about? What is my next step? That's all we really need to face right now. What is the next step? What are you going to do when you get up to leave here today? What conversations are you going to have? What is left unspoken? Or what might you explore or write in your journal if you're still wanting to keep it quiet? What are you ready to put on a billboard and announce to the world? So this reminds me of the scripture about keeping a light hid under a bushel. The scripture in Matthew 5. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Let's unitize that a little bit. In unity, we are here to fully embody the divine qualities of God, to fully express that Christ presence, to live out divine ideas in their fullest in our lives. Not getting by, not surviving, but thriving, to shine our light unto the world, to do what is ours to do, so people know clearly what you're all about. They can see you coming a mile away. You've probably had that experience in an area or two of your life. What if we lived our entire life in that manner? We can still be humble. Now, we can still be kind and compassionate. It's not about going out and getting rich and famous, although that might be fun too. It's about fully expressing your values and the divine qualities of God. What is important to you? So what is success for you? What would living an unbound and extraordinary life look like? What would people be saying about you? What would they notice? What would they be saying about Unity Spiritual Center of Manhattan? So I believe that it is time to fly. I believe that the world is ready for what you have to offer. It may be just a different way of showing up and doing the same thing you're already doing. Or maybe it is you saying, no, this doesn't work for me. This no longer works for me, for I am, or what I'm looking for, or how I would desire to express is, and to move forward and claim it. You might look back and go, is this my life that's moving and shaking? It is. It is. So through prayer and meditation and visualizing, by tuning into the qualities of God and taking those on, try them on like a coat. And express that. What would it like to be more free? What would it be like to be more flexible, open, forgiving? What would it be like to let that one thing go? We all have at least one thing. What would it be like to leave here just a little bit lighter, a little bit more free? So it is time to get our message out in the world, whether we do that through our relationships, through our work, through our way of being, through our church experience. I see you expressing all that you are, and then getting together and go, wow, have I got something to share with you today? My life is unbound and extraordinary. People are calling me crazy. People think I'm way out there. I'm really living a life of freedom and peace and joy. So what is your leap of faith? What is the leap? What is the calling that is trying to express itself in and through your life? We just say, thank you, God, for moving in and through our lives. Let us move into meditation and take this deeper now.